been that guy.
My God.
You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away. Well, that's Thoreau's quote. It's one of my favorite quotes ever because it's true that most men live lives of quiet desperation.
And how do people get stuck there? How do you think they get stuck there?
Bills.
Bills, like financial bills?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Bills and commitment. You have an apartment you have to pay for. You have a car you leased. You have a wife that you have to feed. You have a child you have to raise. You have to... You have your mortgage, you have your this, you have your that, and that's where it all comes from.
Where do you think opportunity plays into that?
Well, the opportunity takes place usually when you're young and you don't have any responsibility. That's when you have your options. Well, your options are severely limited the more you gather responsibilities. Like, if I had to, as a 51-year-old father of 3, married man, pays taxes, has a house and a mortgage and a business and all that jazz. If I had to quit everything now and struggle the way I struggled as a stand-up comedian, it would never work. But the only way I could be this person now is if I took that chance when I was 21, when I was dead broke and had my cars repossessed and all that stuff. That's the only way you ever get where you want to go. You have to take a path that's dangerous. And most people want to take the safe path. And the safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation. Almost every time. It's hell. It's hell.
And a lot of people think I'm completely irresponsible and out of my mind and nuts when I tell young men to go and do dangerous shit. To trust, and the most dangerous thing is to trust your heart. And your heart drew you towards this girl. And what was the experience? A complete fucking mess. Right? Guess what? Most of the time when you're courageous enough to follow your heart, in the beginning, and perhaps for quite some time, it's gonna be a complete fucking mess. I know this. That's why I often say, you don't take the call to adventure, you don't follow your heart, you don't do the thing that your body's telling you to do because of what you're going to get. You do it because of who you're gonna become. What kind of person were you afterwards? Animated. You were more vibrant, vital, alive, energetic, ready to go. You're becoming a stronger version of yourself because of that. And what happens is that the stress is a unique type of stress, and I've heard it described this way. Of course there's stress, and there's a physiological response to the stress, but there's a different color. Distress is a kind of nagging chronic stress where you're constantly anxious because you can't pay your bills, or you'll never get the career that you want, or you'll never live up to your daddy's expectations. And you go about life with this nagging distress that ultimately leads to your demise, that just stresses you out and grows you older and more degenerated over time. Now that's the stress that most people deal with. Eustress is a completely different phenomenon. There's a physiological response in your body which is sympathetic. That's why you felt so energetic. But it's colored with euphoria because of what you're becoming. You just exercise what I believe to be the iron quality in becoming the strongest version of yourself, and that is courage. And the experience was a complete mess, but you're growing. You see, this distress makes you sick and dying. Eustress creates growth, and that's why I often say go do dangerous shit. Because I know that when you jump off that cliff, and your only intention is to fly before you hit the fucking bottom, you're gonna animate all your vital resources to learn how to fly on the way down. And that's why you have to jump. You know, there's a different type of response to that cliff that a lot of people, most people, experience. And that is they stare down that cliff their entire lives until they're like 40, 45, 50, and they call this midlife crisis. This is when you've committed to all of the trappings. Notice that word trappings. Trappings. Traps of the world. Now you got a family, you've got a business, you got a career, you got a boss, you got taxes. And you can't jump, dude, because you're too trapped by the trappings of the world. The point is that if you stand there and you just keep looking down into that chasm, and it begins, you reach the edge of that cliff when you're 25 years old, guess what you're gonna live with for the next 25 years? Distress that kills you because you didn't jump. There's that part of you that's always tapping you. Hey dude, motherfucker, I told you to jump 20 years ago. You still didn't jump, did you? How do you feel about yourself? Well, I've got $100,000 in my bank account. Man, who gives a shit? My wife's hot. Who gives a shit? I've got children to take care. Who gives a shit? You should have jumped when I told you to jump, and now you gotta live with it.
It's hell. It's hell. You're selling insurance or some other shit that you care zero about.
You know that you feel guilty and ashamed when you're not doing what you could be doing, when you're not living up to your potential, when you're not making the most of what's offered to you. You understand at a very deep level. There's no other way of saying it. You're breaking a divine commandment. You're offered this unbelievably rich possibility, and it's there for you to grapple with. You say, well, I don't believe in such things, in the divinity of humanity. You can't fool yourself with that kind of argumentation. It doesn't stop you from feeling guilty and ashamed and worthless and disappointed and frustrated and angry and vengeful at the fact that you're wasting your life and you're noticing it, and that you're making yourself much less than you could be, and that you're making things around you worse for everyone else.
But can people just make that change? I mean,
Yes,
look,
you can,
I believe they
but
can.
you have to plan it out. The way you can change is you have to put aside enough money to give yourself a window. And then you have to have a plan. And you have to spend all your waking hours outside of whatever shit job you do planning your escape. And you have to come to the realization very clearly that you fucked up and you got yourself stuck. So whatever you're doing, you have to do it like your life depends on it.
My heart is telling me to do it. Boom. And you let go into the river of life and let it carry you where it's going to carry you. And you be okay with the challenges, be okay with the failures, but you will revel in, and you will be so overjoyed by the successes, so much more than the successes of the guy who stood on the cliff and waited. All his successes are traps. You can't get away from problems. You cannot get away from problems. It's what kind of problems you want to choose. And you can choose the problems or allow the world to give you their problems with their trappings, or you could jump off that fucking cliff and create your own problem. You know, they say there's a judgment day. I believe we face multiple judgment days while we're walking on earth. I don't think judgment day comes when we're dead. Now you're gonna go to heaven or you're gonna go to hell. Judgment, right? Jesus is sitting on a big throne. No, the judgment day is today. Judgment day is now. And the judgment is going to allow you to live a life of hell now, or to choose your own kingdom, to live heaven on earth now.